Hey guys, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Miska.
And welcome to Overwatch Central. So you've heard people talk about medals in Overwatch in the past. Players comparing themselves to others using them and other stats that you can find when in game. The two main arguments are either, but I'm gold so I shouldn't switch, or that medals don't really matter. Both of these have their good points to back them up, but there definitely is a balance between the two, as well as stuff that isn't brought up as much. On top of the medal system, we also have the whole stat screen that the medals appear on. The reason as to why we're calling this a stat screen is because it's not really a scoreboard because it doesn't actually give you a score, and we're unable to see anybody else's but our own stats, which doesn't quite make this a leaderboard either. In this video we wanted to go over medals, statistics, and also cover the scoreboard discussion, as it's something that we've mentioned in the past but never really sort of gone into more depth on it, so we've been wanting to make this video since the closed beta.
Let's start with the medals. However, I won't be on this topic for too long as it's one of the most discussed ones out of the ones in this video. Anyway, to begin dissecting this, we have to break down what these medals actually are. The only thing they tell you actually is the top 3 positions over a few categories, if you happen to be in one of those top 3 positions. Otherwise, you're kind of left unknown. That's it. They don't show you if you're doing better than the average player across all games, if you are necessarily of much higher value to your team than other team members, and so on. The natural thing that a lot of players do though with this information is to use these to try and find out if they are doing well or not, and if they are of any value to the team, and this is the exact problem. When you look at stats in any game, so not just Overwatch, for a match you are currently in or playing online, then a lot of other games will show you stats about the other players on your team. Overwatch's alternative and answer to this is to hide that information from the player, and just to show your stats instead. This is an attempt to create less of a toxic environment according to the development team from way back when they were developing this feature and sort of presenting it back in beta. But it doesn't even do a very good job at this, and it ends up mostly hiding important information that could be useful to the player. The current medal system is only really useful for comparing your own performance and position in the game relative to the previous matches and the medals you've had in those matches. Obviously that does also mean though that when a team composition changes, it's harder to actually read and translate the information that the medal system gives you into something that is useful enough for you to improve and learn from. Being able to tell how you are doing in comparison to your team is not very easy to do at the moment. And this is why we also wanted to talk about Scoreboard in this video.
Right back in the closed alpha of the game before we could get our hands on it, we saw some footage on the Overwatch account showing off certain heroes, and we also saw some clips of the old scoreboard system, which you're seeing right on screen now. Looking at it, you can see why Blizzard decided to scrap it. Imagine playing a game and losing and knowing that you or your teammates were underperforming compared to each other. Not only that, you can see which enemies are underperforming too and decide to jump them if you see fit. But also, it's a point-based system and you can't really get too much of a gauge of who is performing best. I mean, that's the exact same problem with medals, right? It gives you some information but no real context into how you're performing. You could have no medals whatsoever and still be the best player on the team. For example, a Junkrat can be top of damage, sure, yet he can still be contributing nothing other than giving the enemy support's ultimate charge. And a Roadhog can be top of healing without the reason being crap supports on your team. It's not as cut and dry as that. And the information that both scoreboards give isn't really enough to make an assessment of your performance compared to others. That's why it was scrapped in the first place, but I don't think medals do much either. However, the old system did give you a more simple overview of the good and bad and hero value comparison. Even if the old system was pretty skewed, the on-fire system is kept in the same style of scoring. The on-fire system is a much more simplified system, still showing you who is doing well on your team and on the enemy's team as well. And whilst this isn't really as useful as it could be in ranked play, it's still the only real way to get a gauge of how the game actually rates players openly to other players in a match. I'm not saying that implementing the on-fire score into a classic scoreboard and ranking play from first to 6 is the way to go, but we definitely need something that's a little bit more concrete. The medal system has been in since the closed beta, and a lot has changed within the game since then, and I think it's about time that the statistics kind of kept up.
There are some effective stat sites that you should consider looking at if you haven't already. Overbuff and Master Overwatch give good insight into how you and your hero pool compares across the percentile of players, whilst Oversumer compares and tiers your stats by ranks. Now either way, the way that these sites and these apps compare stats is useful to some degree, but you really have to be careful when analyzing your own statistics. Basically, don't look too much into it. You can compare your stats and ratings compared to other players within your own profile, so you can see which heroes you should maybe be putting more time into and which heroes you aren't doing that well with but you thought you were doing well on. On top of this, it's kind of vague how stats actually work and what the criteria for certain things are. So looking at win percentages of all of your heroes is a decent way of getting an idea of your hero pool and how you are doing on these heroes. But really the stats we have currently are kind of lacking, and more precise and more concrete stats, scoreboards, maybe more leaderboards and that sort of thing, could really help people improve at the game.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Do let us know what you think of the scoreboard and the stats in the comments below. What kind of information should the medals be including? Should medals be completely scrapped altogether? This is kind of a more open discussion anyway, so do let us know what you think below. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.